Everyone thought the Bugatti situation was settled after the Chiron. But somehow, here we are again. And this time, it might actually be worse. On the surface, everything looks familiar. Matt Armstrong rolls a damaged Bugatti Veyron into the garage and starts breaking it down, exactly the way he always does. Methodical, focused, piece by piece. Find the faults. List the parts. Build the plan. It's a system that has worked on countless cars before. Vehicles that came in wrecked and left restored. A repeatable formula built on patience, skill, and experience. But this is a Bugatti. And with a Bugatti, nothing stays simple for long. Even before the full inspection is complete, it's clear this car has been neglected. Not surface-level neglect, deep neglect. The kind that shows up in worn mechanical components, failing systems, and missing pieces that should never have gone missing in the first place. The kind of neglect that turns what looked like a straightforward project into something far more serious. The deeper Matt goes, the longer the list gets. Service components. Mechanical parts. Interior trim pieces. And then there's the speed key, a specialized item that unlocks the Veyron's full performance capability. It's missing, and replacing it is not a simple task. But we'll come back to that. For now, Matt does what he always does when a build starts getting complicated. He slows down. He gets organized. He maps out exactly what the car needs before touching anything else. Because on a car this complex, rushing leads to expensive mistakes, and expensive mistakes on a Bugatti are a completely different category of problem. So the list gets built. Every component documented. Every fault recorded. And once the full picture is clear, the next step seems straightforward. Contact Bugatti, source the official parts, and get to work. That's where things start to go wrong. Matt reaches out to a Bugatti dealership directly. The goal is simple: official parts, proper components, no shortcuts. Just factory-supported materials to do the job correctly. It's the right approach. It's what any responsible builder would do. The first dealership doesn't respond at all. No reply. Complete silence. For a brand at this level, that's already unusual. These aren't budget parts for a common car. This is one of the most exclusive manufacturers in the world, and the first point of contact produces nothing. So he tries again. A second dealership this time. And someone answers. For a moment, it feels like the project is back on track. Parts can be sourced. The build can continue. Problem solved. Then comes the response that changes everything. The dealership will not sell the parts directly. Not because they're out of stock. Not because of a pricing issue. Not because of a shipping restriction. Their position is clear. If you want the parts, the car has to come to them. And once it does, they carry out all the work themselves. The parts don't leave their facility. The repairs don't happen anywhere else. You don't take the components and fix it yourself. You hand the car over, and they decide everything from that point forward. Take a moment to think about what that actually means. This isn't a supply issue. It's a control structure. The manufacturer isn't just selling cars, they're maintaining ownership over how those cars are maintained and repaired, even after the vehicle has been sold to a private owner. If you want access to official parts, you surrender access to your own project. Your own property. The car that you own sits in their facility, on their timeline, repaired to their standards, at a cost they set. And that cost is significant. A standard service on a Veyron runs around $20,000. That's before any major repairs begin. Stack that against everything this particular car actually needs: mechanical work, worn components, missing parts, diagnostics, and a replacement speed key that requires dealer-level coding and verification, and the number grows fast, with no clear ceiling. But here's the thing. For Matt, the cost isn't even the central issue. The bigger problem is control. If the car goes to Bugatti, the entire project leaves his hands. He doesn't decide what gets fixed first. He doesn't decide which parts get priority. He doesn't control the timeline or the approach. He becomes a bystander in his own build. And that's not how this works. That's not what these projects are about. So now he's facing a decision that no builder wants to be in. Option 1. Hand the car over to Bugatti, accept every restriction that comes with it, and watch the project unfold from the outside. Option 2. keep the car in the garage, solve the problems independently, and take full responsibility for a rebuild on one of the most technically complex road cars ever produced. Because that's what the Veyron is. It isn't complicated in the way that makes experienced mechanics nervous. It's complicated in the way that makes experienced mechanics think very carefully before touching anything. The engineering is dense. 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, 7 radiators, a gearbox system that operates under intense pressure, cooling circuits, electronic management systems layered on top of mechanical systems layered on top of more systems. Every component is engineered to operate within very specific parameters, and when something is off, it affects everything around it. One mistake doesn't just cause a single problem, it cascades. And then there's the speed key. This is the item that specifically unlocks the Veyron's top speed capability. Without it, the car is restricted. It won't reach its full performance potential. And sourcing a replacement isn't as simple as ordering a part and fitting it. It requires coding, verification, and direct involvement from an authorized dealer. Which means that even accessing the car's own performance is gated behind the same system that won't sell parts independently. That's not a minor detail. That's the manufacturer maintaining control over how the car performs, not just how it's serviced. Even the driving experience of a car you own is technically dependent on their infrastructure. And that's where this situation becomes bigger than one rebuild. Because this same pattern emerged with the Chiron. At the time, it was possible to put it down to caution. A newer, more advanced car, perhaps stricter protocols, possibly safety-related restrictions. Reasonable explanations existed. But now, with the Veyron showing the same behavior, it stops looking like caution and starts looking like policy. A deliberate, consistent approach to how these cars exist in the world after they leave the factory. The question it raises is one that goes well beyond Matt's garage. If owners of these vehicles cannot independently source parts, cannot carry out repairs without surrendering their cars to the manufacturer, cannot even access the full performance of what they purchased without dealer involvement, what does ownership actually mean at this level? Is it possession, or is it a long-term agreement with terms set entirely by the manufacturer? These aren't hypothetical concerns. They're being worked out in real time, on a real car, in front of an audience watching to see how it resolves. And Matt's answer, at least for now, is to push forward. The car stays in the garage. He works through the problems methodically, using experience to navigate systems he wasn't officially given access to. He finds alternative sources for components where he can. He breaks down each challenge individually rather than letting them stack into something unmanageable. He treats every obstacle as a technical problem with a technical solution, even when the system around the car is designed to make that as difficult as possible. It's not a clean process. It's not straightforward. Every step carries more risk than it would on a car with normal parts availability and standard repair infrastructure. But it's the only way to keep the project intact and keep the build moving on his terms. And that's exactly what makes this so compelling to watch. Because what's happening in that garage is more than a mechanical rebuild. It's a direct confrontation between independent builders and the control structures manufacturers are building into their most exclusive products. Matt isn't just fixing a car. He's testing whether that kind of project can still exist outside the system designed to prevent it. If he pulls it off, if the Veyron gets rebuilt properly with full performance restored without surrendering it to the manufacturer, it proves something meaningful. It proves that skill, experience, and determination can still overcome institutional gatekeeping, even at the highest level of automotive engineering. If it doesn't work, if the locked systems, missing parts, and restricted infrastructure become too much to overcome, then the system wins. And the message that sends to every independent builder, every owner trying to maintain their own car, every enthusiast who believes in the right to repair what you own, is a serious one. That's where everything stands right now. Not at the beginning of a standard rebuild, but in the middle of something that matters beyond the car itself. The Veyron is in the garage. The problems are known. The system is pushing back. And the build is still going. So if you've made it this far, make sure you subscribe, hit like, and turn on notifications. Because if this is what it takes just to source parts for a Veyron, What happens next in this build is going to be something else entirely.